In this program, we'll look at how to return values from methods. We previously looked at how we could send data to methods. Now we're going to return values back from methods. Looks like I have too many S's on methods. Oh well. And I'll call this class returning stuff. I'll take the free public static void main. And again, our goal here is to explore how we can return values from methods. All right, well, let's make a method. We'll start with public static, and this is going to return a point value, an integer. So this is the return type, int. Previously, we have used void because there was nothing to return. I'll call this method total points. So public static int, the return type, total points. It's going to take two parameters, int early leader and int late leader. You get different point values depending on if you're leading at early checkpoints in the race or later checkpoints in a race. Now there's a red squiggle because we're supposed to return the data type int, and right now we're not. Two possibilities are to add a return statement or change the return type to void. What's going to happen is eventually we'll write a return statement. But Eclipse is a little concerned right now because we've promised that we're going to return the data type int, but we haven't done it yet. Now we'll calculate the points. Leading at early checkpoints is worth 2 points. Leading at late checkpoints is worth 5 points. So we'll have early leader times 2 for how many times you were leading at an early checkpoint. And for the late checkpoints, we'll have late leader times 5. We're actually going to be racing chinchillas. So now we need to return the points. That's what this red squiggle is all about. Return point. And now that red squiggle has disappeared. We returned an integer just as we promised. Points. That's an int value, and that's what we said we would do. We promised that method would return an int, and now it does. Generating some JavaDoc, you notice @return will show up automatically. We've already experienced the @param automatically showing up. And again, a brief description. This will be the points scored by a chinchilla in a race. There are several checkpoints in the race, some early, some late. Every time a chinchilla leads at an early checkpoint, that's going to be worth 2 points. Every time a chinchilla leads at one of the later checkpoints, those point values are worth more. They're worth 5 points. And then for the return, we'll describe what is going on with the value we're returning. And it's the total points for the chinchilla in the race. Well, let's test out our total points method and see if it really will work out to return an int. We'll get the score for our chinchilla. So your chinchilla's score and we're going to call or activate the total points method. So we'll type total points and then in parentheses send 2 integers. They could be variables, they could be literals. I'll use the literals 3 and 10. So we let it 3 early checkpoints and 10 late checkpoints. And let's see how it goes. Your chinchilla scored 56 points. Total points return the value 56, and that's what displayed in between your chinchilla scored and points. 3 went to int early leader, 10 went to int late leader. 3 times 2 is 6, 10 times 5 is 50, and 6 plus 50 is 56. We returned the value points out of that method, and it went to where we had total points 3, 10 in the main method. Now let's make another value returning method, public static string. This is going to return a string, so we'll call it strength level. We'll pass this method a double value, we'll call it num, and we'll return a string that describes the strength level. Notice again the red squiggle because we are promising to return a string, but we have yet to do that. I'll get the Java doc set up now. Again, because we're a value returning method, we have an @return available to us. So we're going to obtain an animal word that describes the strength level based on a number. The parameter is that number that we're going to base the strength level upon. That's what num will be. So it's a numeric representation of strength. And the string that we return will be an animal word describing strength. We'll set up an if block to figure out what is the appropriate string to return with an animal. First, we'll declare a string variable. I'll call it string answer, and I'll have it equal nothing right now. So it does have an initial value of emptiness there. All right, let's determine the strength level. We'll say if num, again, that's the value that got passed to this method, if num is less than 6, you'll have the strength of a gopher. So we'll say answer equals gopher, or whatever animal you would like to use. Maybe you're a little stronger. So we'll check out between 6 and 11, including 6 and 11. So else if num is greater than or equal to 6.0 and num is less than or equal to 11.0. This time we'll say that answer is orangutan. They're a little stronger than gophers. Lastly, we'll use an else, which means your strength number there is higher than 11, and I'll have answer equal bear. Definitely stronger than a gopher or an orangutan. Again, you can use whatever animals you like. And that will be the end of this if block to determine the animal strength level. Notice we still have that red squiggle. We still have to return a string. That's what we promised we would do in this value returning method. So now it's time to return the word that describes the strength level. And we'll return answer. Now that red squiggle is gone, we have returned a string as promised, and it's time for us to return to the main method to test this out. Less than 6 is a gopher, between 6 and 11, including 6 and 11, an orangutan, and greater than 11 should be a bear. So let's evaluate some strength levels. You can use your own examples. I'll try to use one of each. First, I'll try to get gopher to show up. So we'll use Kent and say you have the strength of a, and I'll activate or call that strength level method. And it's expecting a value, a double, which could also be an integer sent to it. And we'll give Kent a 2.3. That should be a gopher. And it is. I'll use copy and paste and then edit. You can do the same thing. And next we'll change Kent to Marissa. And we'll make Marissa much stronger than Kent. We'll give her a strength level of 25.9. And Marissa has the strength of a bear. So that 25.9 is sent to strength level. It returns the string bear. We'll do this again with Josh with an 8.2. And that gives Josh the strength of an orangutan. Sorry, I didn't have the proper a and, depending on if the animal started with a vowel. So once again, a string appears where strength level 8.2 was. We can also send variables. So if I have level Roshana at 39.88, then we can send level Roshana as an argument. And she should have the strength of a bear. She does. So now we've learned about value returning methods. In strength level, we sent a double and then returned a string.